Right. Now we start closer to home with the Standard. We have the headline is Wife, Daughter and Baba Yao's Million Probe. Now I'll read an excerpt from that particular story. It says anti-graft agency details how Kiambu governor and his family using companies associated with them may have pocketed millions of shillings in kickbacks from the contacts. Now this is a developing story, and page 6 of the Standard goes deeper into that. But of course it has had tongues wagging across the nation with regards to the bail and the amounts of money that were being quoted, having been in the hands of that particular governor, Ferdinand Waititu, as well as his daughter. Now, I'm interested to know what you think, Mr. Bitachi, because I know you must have a mouthful.
Well, I did write about this even in the Standard this Wednesday. And the truth is that we can no longer live in a country where the factors of production are your last name. That if you're called Bichachi and your father is a Bichachi and is a governor, then you know that all your business plan works. You never make losses because profits magically appear in your account without you having done any labor. And that needs to change, because what it creates an environment of hopelessness for those people who do not have the right last name, who are not connected, and that's why this narrative needs to change. So I hope that the DCI and DPP are able to prove this case, but I also hope that we can go back and visit the issue of state officials and governors and people like that who are implicated in crimes and then continue to perform the functions of office as though nothing has happened. Yet in other more civilized places, if you are just implicated, you would resign because of the implication. But in this country, you want to hold on until appeal is done. And for Kenyans to understand, if you're found guilty at the magistrate's court, you go to High Court. Then after High Court, you go to Court of Appeal. So that means if each case takes 3 years, by the time you are done, even the mandatory terms of a governor are finished. Over, so we cannot then postpone justice by 9 years and then that's okay. We have to look at the constitution, we have to look at the laws and change that so that if you're implicated in a crime, you don't stay in the office forever.
And I know a common complaint about this war on corruption now and even before is that we do all these arrests, we name and shame them. I don't know if they're actually ashamed when they're named, but then at the end of the day, there are no prosecutions, so we don't see much happening. Ruth, what do you think about this story?
Well, for me, Waititu is clearly proving, if the evidence is to go by, if the investigations are to go by, he is clearly proving that politics today is becoming a key or a gate pass out of poverty for families that eventually get political seats. He is proving to us that, for you, I mean, the only motivation behind getting to politics is get in, start awarding tenders to your family members, start pushing kickbacks to your family members and getting yourself rich, getting yourself out of poverty. Make sure the entire family and the entire generation is finally rescued out of poverty. And if that is the case, then indeed we are setting the wrong foot for future political leaders, because now I can bet and tell you for sure that if you talk to young people, most young people who are aspiring to become politicians or get into political seats, if you genuinely have a conversation with them and tell them, now to be honest, why do you truly want to become a member of parliament in the next 5 years, you will be surprised to find that a lot of young people are now finding it as an easy way out of poverty, because they know that once you get into politics, and we have seen it, I mean, Waititu is just but an example. We have seen MCAs who, after getting political seats, watch them a year later. These people have 5 houses, 10 businesses, 10 cars, they're running a fleet of cars around them. And when you begin to try and analyze what they own, what they possess, vis-a-vis the amount of money they're supposed to be earning as members of parliament, as members of county assemblies, it doesn't match, And then now it becomes a motivation, because now you realize that, once I join politics and this is the outcome, that my family members will all be able to get jobs. And forget about even just the tenders that they will get. You hear allegations of governors, politicians, MPs appointing their girlfriends into political positions. So it becomes, we are giving out out free candy. The moment I get into politics, I am a shopkeeper who's selling candy, and I will issue free candy to whoever is loyal to me, whoever is around me.
Right.
And it is the wrong basis and foundation for politics. If you try and compare our politicians to politicians in much developed countries, for instance, in the UK, in Netherlands, I had a chance to be in Netherlands recently, and you hear of members of parliament riding bicycles to parliament, and they will do so for as long as they are still members of parliament. When you hear of their retirement plans, I mean, forget about members of parliament. Even Obama himself, look at the kind of life he's leading after becoming the president of the free world, to be specific. He is leading a normal life. You cannot compare Obama's retirement life 8 years. Is it 8 years after being in politics and ruling, being the leader of the free world, to an MCA who left, who became, who ran, who ran for MCA in the middle of nowhere and held the position for a mere 5 years. You
and
cannot
the fact
compare.
that he actually just retired.
Yes,
and he's still young, still active.
You cannot compare.
And that you are actually right. That puts development and other leadership roles to the back burner when the motivation is just money. Mr. Manyasi, what do you feel about this developing story? We're being told that the Kiambu governor and his family are said to have received millions in kickbacks for tenders irregularly awarded by the county.
I think if you look at what Senator Mwaura said, he actually confirmed, it's being confirmed now.
Right.
Senator Mwaura said that he had a conversation with the senator, the governor, before, during the election time. And he told him what his intentions were and what they had wanted to do with the power they were getting. And so the obvious thing was that the governor was running for office for the headlines that we're watching today. So that's what he intended to do. However, I think just to put a caveat on the discussion, if you look at the way our politics runs, it's a little more complex than what we are discussing. It involves big money. Our politics and the way we have coined our society is such that unless you have billions, then you will not run around the police. You will not be able to buy yourself out of certain things. So you will not, for you to run for governor today, for example, you will need almost 200 million shillings. Now, if you're a hard-working Kenyan, you can't earn such kind of money unless you're doing business, and the business you're doing, you need to be doing it with government. So it's a bit more complex.
It's complex,
And Kenyans also, on the other hand, are expecting too much. So you find, I know that my colleagues have mentioned MCAs and other people, you find MCAs living a very abnormal life. But if you look at the reports that we have been reading in the recent past, there are those that were advanced money and they're now being auctioned. So that means that they are leading a life that does not exist. Not that
Way
money is actually,
means,
So we have a problem as a society, and for you to look like you're successful, you must run around with big cars. You must run around with an entourage. You have to look like you have a lot of money. So some are actually going a step beyond that to actually actualize the same. So we have a problem around our politics that we need to really look into, and unless we do that, especially on the issue of funding politics and political parties funding and that kind of thing, if you look at the contrast between that and the developed world, is that someone can actually come from nowhere and fundraise publicly and have people put money into his vision or her vision, and they go ahead and win an election.
So
and then
takes
go through
away the need.
So we need to change the way we finance and the way we do our politics completely.